Picture this. You're in a small town where the local clock strikes noon as the sun hits its peak. Just a short ride away in the next town over, their clocks might read something completely different. This wasn't some strange anomaly, it was life before standardized time. For centuries, communities used the sun as their guide. Noon wasn't some universal moment, it was when the sun was directly overhead in your town. It was simple, natural, and worked perfectly for a world that rarely stretched beyond local borders. But as towns grew into bustling hubs and new technologies began to shrink distances, this patchwork of timekeeping started to feel, well, a little chaotic. Imagine trying to coordinate plans with a neighbor just a few miles away, only to discover their idea of noon didn't match yours. That's not even mentioning the headaches for travelers or businesses trying to stay on the same page. The local time system may have felt charmingly tailored to each place, but it wasn't built for the complex, fast-moving world that was starting to emerge. Change was inevitable, and the next chapter of timekeeping was about to unfold. Back in the day, local timekeeping was fine for life's simpler rhythms, but as railways and telegraphs connected distant towns and cities, the cracks in this system started to show. Imagine boarding a train and having to adjust your watch every time you crossed into a new town. Talk about frustrating. Travelers often carried guides filled with confusing time corrections to help them navigate these constant shifts to account for local time variations. The chaos wasn't just an inconvenience. It made planning and communication feel like a never-ending math problem. The situation got even more dangerous when lives were at stake. In 1853, tragedy struck with the Valley Falls train collision in the United States. The accident occurred because train conductors were relying on different local times, which led to a deadly miscalculation to prevent such accidents in the future. Events like this made it clear that the patchwork of timekeeping wasn't just inconvenient, it was unsafe. As industries and technologies advanced, even slight time differences created roadblocks for schedules and coordination. For railroads, precision was no longer optional, it was essential. The problem wasn't just about keeping clocks in sync, it was about creating a system that could handle a rapidly growing and interconnected world. The days of local time as a practical solution were numbered, and the push for something more unified was on the horizon. The expansion of railroads in the 19th century didn't just revolutionize transportation, it completely reshaped how people thought about time. Picture this. Over 300 local times crisscrossing the United States in the 1880s, each town setting its clocks to its own solar rhythm. For railways, this chaotic mishmash was a scheduling disaster. Trains often ran late or dangerously close to each other because no two towns agreed on what time it was. Enter Charles F. Dowd, a school principal with a knack for problem solving. In 1870, Dowd proposed a unified time system for railroads across the U.S., breaking the country into 5 distinct time zones. This plan was a game changer, and in 1883, railroads adopted it nationwide to streamline railway operations and enhance safety. Suddenly, timetables made sense, and the risk of collisions dropped significantly. But this wasn't just an American phenomenon. Across the Atlantic, Germany was also grappling with time confusion. In 1874, they standardized railway schedules to Berlin time, recognizing that uniformity was critical for smooth operations. By 1893, a law made this the official time for everything, from train schedules to everyday activities to ensure smooth operation across the country. Railroads didn't just connect cities, they created the need for a system that could connect time itself. With every mile of track laid and every timetable printed, the push for standard time zones gained momentum, proving that even the trains running on iron rails could drive progress forward. In 1884, the world's brightest minds gathered in Washington, D.C. to tackle a challenge that had baffled humanity for centuries: how to make time universal. Their solution was both elegant and revolutionary. They agreed to establish Greenwich, England, as the Prime Meridian, the central starting point for measuring longitude and time. From there, the planet was divided into 24 time zones, each spanning about 15 degrees of longitude, with each zone representing 1 hour of difference. The brilliance of this system lay in its simplicity. By using the Prime Meridian as a reference point, countries could align their clocks with a standardized global framework, solving countless scheduling headaches. While this international agreement was groundbreaking, the concept wasn't entirely new. Britain had been leading the charge in time standardization, with 98% of its towns and cities already syncing with Greenwich Mean Time by 1855. However, many public clocks displayed both local and railway times to help people adjust to the new system during the transition to bridge the transition. But the journey toward worldwide standardization wasn't without quirks. Some countries continued to cling to their local time systems. For example, France, a nation known for its pride and national traditions, stuck with Paris Mean Time as its standard until 1891. Even then, railway station clocks were set 5 minutes behind the official time to give tardy travelers a little extra breathing room to ensure punctuality and consistency. Similarly, Ireland adhered to Dublin Mean Time, staying 25 minutes behind London until 1916, when it finally switched to align with the global system to facilitate smoother integration with global practices. This leap toward time standardization was an extraordinary moment in history, proof of what could be achieved when the world came together to solve a universal problem. Change isn't always easy, and the adoption of standard time zones was no exception. While the system promised a world of smoother schedules and fewer headaches, some countries weren't quite ready to reset their clocks. Take France, for example. Known for its deep connection to national identity, it held on to Paris Mean Time as its standard until 1891. Even then, railway station clocks ran 5 minutes behind the official time, a clever buffer to help tardy travelers make their trains on time to ensure punctuality and consistency. Ireland also had its own timeline, quite literally. For years, Dublin Mean Time kept the country 25 minutes behind London, adding a uniquely Irish flavor to timekeeping. But in 1916, Dublin finally aligned with the global standard to facilitate smoother integration with global practices. The reluctance to adopt standardized time wasn't just about logistics, it was tied to tradition, identity, and even a little bit of local pride. Changing centuries-old habits took time, pun intended. But as the benefits of safer travel, clearer communication and better coordination became undeniable, the resistance softened. While the shift may not have been instant, the eventual embrace of standard time zones marked a turning point in the global journey toward modernity. Time zones might feel like a background feature of our world, but they're an incredible example of human ingenuity at work. Think about it. Without them, coordinating international travel, global business meetings, or even live-streamed events would be a logistical nightmare. Thanks to the standardized time system, life runs like clockwork, pun intended. Our tech-driven lives showcase just how seamlessly time zones integrate into our daily routines. Your smartphone automatically adjusts the time when you land in a new city, ensuring you're never late for that big meeting or vacation dinner reservation. Streaming platforms make it easy to catch live events across the globe, no matter where you are. And those early morning or late night video calls with friends, family, or colleagues in another part of the world? Time zones keep everyone on the same page. Time zones also highlight how interconnected our world has become. They're a silent reminder that we share a single planet, spinning on its axis as the sun moves across the sky. From New York to Tokyo, each time zone connects us to a global rhythm, keeping everything from flights to financial markets ticking smoothly. But the impact of time zones isn't just about practicality. They symbolize how people from different nations, cultures, and backgrounds can come together to solve a shared problem. When countries agreed to a standardized system, it was a powerful act of global teamwork, creating order from what was once pure chaos. Of course, time zones aren't perfect. Daylight saving time still sparks debates, and the international dateline can trip up even the most seasoned traveler. But despite the occasional confusion, time zones remain a testament to humanity's ability to innovate and cooperate. So the next time you glance at your clock or smartphone, take a moment to appreciate the remarkable system working quietly in the background, making our interconnected world possible. Time zones may be invisible, but their impact is everywhere.